So I think I have clicked every button and done all my little stuff that I was supposed to do. And I will tell you, I'm good and late today, as if you didn't notice, or as if it mattered. I don't know, either or. But I'm good and late today. And for whatever reasons, no excuses. I've got none. And so I won't give you any. How are you today? I am extremely, I'm feeling really blessed and just trying to get myself together because it seems like I've got a lot of moving parts today. And today is Thursday, and I'm excited about being here. I'm excited about what the day will bring, all of that good stuff. So, blessings and greetings to you. Ah, what a wonderful, wonderful day. Y'all know, so I go through this. I gotta tell you this because it's so sweet. I scare myself sometimes. I'm going to be honest about that. I always talk about how terrible fear is and all that stuff. And it really is. It is a useless emotion, especially when you know who you are, right? When you know that you are always cradled, sustained, one with this thing called God. It's a useless, useless emotion. But on this past Saturday, when I had such that amazing meditation, and I talked about my ancestor walking into my thing and telling me that I was on the right track. I finished up that meditation and I came on here, I did my talk, and I think I even called up one of my friends who is into the ancestral piece like I am. And I had a conversation with her, and I said to her, I said, well, I've got to find this ancestor in my family line. And so yesterday, as I was, going through my emails, I saw this email from Ancestry.com. And it's probably one of those things like saying what's next, because they give you these prompts to come on and feed your addiction of looking through your family line. And I clicked on the thing and it said, that I had a DNA match, and it gave the name of the person. When I asked her name, it gave that name of the person. I was like, like, wait a minute, was there something on a subconscious level that knew that this person was out there? Or is this, I don't know, but I know that sometimes I can be a little, do I want to say forgetful or whatever. So I'm like trying to figure out, did it come out of my subconscious, or is this person that I'm looking for also looking for me? Or is it just, I know that coincidences are just excuses that we give, whatever the case may be. It was just like, whoa. And I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I have the reaction of like, I see something, it's like, whoa. And so when I call it and say that it scared me, yeah, it was just like a little disconcerting on my part, mentally, to think about, you know, whoa, 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 whoa. So, I get to do that rabbit hole, not today, because I got back to back meetings today, but, I get to go down that rabbit hole. So, and today is Thursday. Ooh, Who knew this came so quickly? Today is Thursday, and so today is my day with Dr. Brown. I get to talk to Dr. Brown, and then I get to talk to Reverend David, and it's going to be a full day. And just, there's of course there's always other stuff. So just making it do what it do, y'all. And so yeah, all is good. All is good. So in the shower today, I was thinking about so much. It's like so much washing over me. And one of the things that came to me was this idea about appearances and how a lot of times we get tricked and fooled by appearances. So, say for instance, I got a feeling the family text is about to start up because I just saw Valia post something on here, which means that my phone is going to be going off. So I'm just going to put it on silent mode. So this thing came to me today about this idea about appearances. A lot of times, especially now that we have social media, we spend a lot of time looking at things as they come up. It was one thing when we drive down the street and we see people with these license plate that says blessed, or we see people who go around and we floss. People floss because there's this, we want to give this appearance that we've got all of our stuff together. And a lot of times people, when here's the thing, it's always, so y'all know the kind of stuff that bugs me. It always bugs me when people state the obvious. I don't know why. But, I have heard people who in the midst of a conversation will say, I'm a grown ass woman, or I'm a grown man, or, and I'm sitting up there thinking like, well, the fact that you need to say that is problematic, right? Like, at what point do you need to point out what's obvious? And for me, it's always the mindset of, if you need to say it, then there's some question behind it. Like, I actually have a shirt that I bought because of the color, but on it says beautiful. And I always think to myself, like, you don't need to tell somebody what they're to think about something or believe about. We make up our minds for ourselves. And so this idea that we are, we need to tell people these different things is just kind of interesting to me. Whatever the case may be. It's one of the things that kind of disturbs me. So when we get caught up now in social media, we look on social media and we have the perception that ooh, they're taking this trip, or oh, this looks so good, or oh, that we stand in this space of how things appear to be. And never, and sometimes what happens is we get a little bent out of shape about our own lives because of those things. I remember somebody telling me one time, we don't want to see your vacation trips. We don't want to see all of this. We just, and for me, it wasn't so much as trying to show off as it was to say, hey, look what's out here. I've been a lot of places and seen a lot of things, and I love saying, hey, let's think bigger. Let's, whatever our ideas are, the depth and breadth of what's possible for us is not just what we find here, but rather how do we envision beyond? So And I'm gonna tell y'all too, I'm not a big fan of vacations. Only because I love a vacation. Don't get me wrong. But I also know that sometimes we don't get the picture when we're going on a vacation as a tourist that we might get if, say, for instance, you get to spend 3 months there. And so that is, it would be a different feel. Hey, Valia, good morning. I just said something about you sending out these texts while I was on this live, so I just had to silence my phone. So no shade. I know. So we get a different experience and a different feel when we go and get a chance to settle someplace for a little while. Thankful Thursday. Good morning, Sarika. When we get to go and settle in a space for a while, we get a different idea about what it's like and what people's lives are actually like, rather than just going in and looking at how glorious our hotel room is or something like that. So now let me pivot, because I don't want to get stuck on that thing. What I want to talk about is that a lot of times people get all bent out of shape when they see other people experiencing things that they might want to experience. But we don't always know the cost of what that packaging entails. Let me put it this way. We may see somebody and admire something that happens. And let me just give you a scenario. I have taken this, gone on these glorious trips. And gone on these glorious trips because somebody else thought that I was the appropriate arm candy to take on this glorious trip. But they don't understand all the time the expense of that happens. It's an exchange, and a lot of times it's an energy exchange. And where we may think that we're getting a trip that is just so wonderful and all of that, what we're doing is if you could think about it from a different standpoint of view, we're exchanging part of sometimes our own self-esteem or self-worth in order to experience the what looks like to others to be something wonderful. I have taken trips, and I'm saying that in the plural sense because I've been on some trips, right? I have been on some trips and gone to a place with somebody that I was miserable with. And if you are someplace and you are in misery, a weekend is too darn long. I don't know if anybody feels me, but if you're traveling with somebody and you are not, it's hard to travel with people, first off, and you don't have that wonderful lovey feeling. If you hit a road bump and you can't smooth it out, that is misery. And y'all just, sometimes we look at these things, we look at them online and we think, oh, how wonderful this is, and oh, how wonderful that is. And oh, I'm going to tell you what glitters is not always what's gold. OMG. So, say for instance, we do this. When I talked about the prostitute archetype a while back ago, and I thought that was, because for me, when I learned about that prostitute archetype, which is something, especially in a culture that is based on capitalism. There is always this idea about what we are willing to sell ourselves for. And don't get it twisted, right? We all sell ourselves for something. Even if you believe that it is, I'm going into a job every day, you are exchanging your time for an amount of money. That is an exchange. So whether you feel like you are doing something that you wouldn't otherwise do for the exchange of money. And so that in itself is, when we talk about prostitution, most of y'all think that it's just about, what's in between your legs, but it's about how you sell your energy and your entire body. And so when you are in an exchange and you don't perceive it to be a fair exchange, hey Mike, how are you? And you don't perceive it to be a fair exchange, you feel as if you are bereft. You are feeling as if you have then been, you've been put upon. There's a certain level of resentment. When you go on a trip, whether it's a job, whether it is, sometimes we agree to do stuff. And it's because we admire this person or we don't want to let somebody down. But a lot of times we are doing things and we are participating in situations and feel as if we've been shortchanged. It's an energetic feeling. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so on the surface, it appears that all is well. We see, I got these friends who sometimes want to, take pictures of this amazing home that they have, this big old house. And, they the only person in it. Nobody else can stand to live with them, or, you trying to figure out how to get something going on, but you can't. So what you keep doing is collecting stuff. Oh my gosh, y'all. So, when we think about what it appears to be on the surface without necessarily looking beyond the surface to what might be underlying this. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, because sometimes it's not that, sometimes it's different stuff that's at play. Sometimes we push people away. We push people away sometimes because we're afraid. I know that I got rough edges. I have rough edges, right? And not everybody wants to be in proximity to me with my rough edges because they get poked. They get activated. And so sometimes we have to realize or recognize that, at least be aware when it might be, the issue might be you. And for whatever that may be. And then the right people, whoever it is that if you need to smooth out your rough edges, the right people will come and be able to deal with that, as opposed to making you doing whatever. I mean, there will be people who can be proximate to you and be totally comfortable around you without you needing to exclude or push them away. So when you are, I'm just saying, don't be dissuaded. Your life as it is perfect. You are in the right space. And when you have need to go and move to another space, whatever that may mean, then being prepared for that transition is right where you are is where you need to be. Because if you were not in this space, in your awareness, your wokeness, whatever that may mean, if you're in your right space, then you get to look out around you and see, okay, what else am I about to do? Where is this a springboard for, so that I can get to the next space, the next level, whatever it is. Y'all be easy on yourself. Quit tripping about stuff. I know sometimes we do get, oh man, I wish, and oh, I want, and all of that. This lady told me last year when I was talking about, because I've been working on this book, it seems like, for as long as I've been working on this this live. And I was bemoaning this thing about the book, and she said that it's ready when it's ready. Just like when I was, sometimes we pray about stuff and we get bent out of shape. Like, why isn't this happening? And so what I know is that the moment I speak my word, there's a dispatch made. Now, how long it takes to get to me is none of my business. How long it takes for your Miss Right or Mr. Right to get to you is none of your business. It's staying in the awareness that it has been dispatched and it's on its way. And so a lot of times we want to say, oh, it's gotta be. But there's a get ready place that you have to be. And so sometimes all of this stuff that we get caught up in looking at and moaning over, it's just the appearance of things. It's not actually even, it's not even what we think it is, right? So I don't know. For me, I just sit back and I look out at the world and I think about where I get the richness from, the richness in my experience and in my life. And it's the simple stuff. It's me being able to talk, to think, to process. And I get to talk to Dr. Brown today. I get so excited when I get to talk to Dr. Brown. Sometimes I go through this trip because since my going through the menopausal stuff that I've gone through, I take a lot of, I don't want to say I take a lot of stuff. I take vitamins. I take all of these different kind of, vitamins and all of this stuff so that I could try to keep my mind sharp, because I get fuzzy. Just like anybody else might get fuzzy, or I forget about things, or I gotta open up a file drawer in my head and look and think like, oh, that's there. Y'all, if I retained even a fraction of the stuff that I have learned and that I'm curious about, if I retained all of that, y'all probably couldn't even stand me anymore. But so there's a fuzziness that I always am trying to compensate for. And then some years ago, I read this book right here. It's called The Hormone Reset. And I've been talking to Dr. Brown for, I don't know that it's quite a year. But when the other day when I was listening to this woman talk, and she started talking about what happens during this stage of my life, of our lives, that this fuzziness can be just hormones off balance. And why do they get off balance? Because your body is not getting enough I can't even think of the darn name of this stuff, right? We're not getting enough estrogen. we're not getting enough whatever that other stuff is called, all of that stuff. We're not getting enough of that. Not getting enough sex, not getting enough of the hormones that are required to keep our brain malleable. And so no matter how many Wordle puzzles I do or how many, 7 little word things I do, if there's a hormonal imbalance, it doesn't necessarily smooth out those rough edges. And so I want to talk to him about that stuff today. And I just think that it's something that all of us could be aware of, about how our diets and nutrition and all of this stuff affects this brain health. And so, it's just opening up so that we can be our best selves. It's figuring out what it is that we need to do. It's not just that the package looks good. It's not just that, people have a idea about what your life is like, but it is about, how do I feed this vessel that I'm currently in so that it has the ability to do all the things that I am asking of it to do. So if it is this creative part of me that wants to have expression, if it's the, I love to dance, so I do that. I don't know if I'm burning up any brain cells in doing that or whatever it is. I'm just dancing. I dance, right? And so whatever it is that I need to sustain it so that I can do it, whether it's yoga or hula hooping or dancing or, anything else. We need to be mindful that it takes, this is a delicate balance. And so the balance is not just, the physical stuff, it's the nutritional stuff, it's the spiritual stuff, it's all of this stuff working together. And if we're not getting it together where it's working and progressing, right? It's one thing to try to maintain. It's another thing to have a forward motion. All of this stuff is important, y'all. It's all important. I love that, I get to have the conversation. Ooh. So I don't know what it is, what you're reaching for. I don't know what it is that, you're desiring, even what you're requiring or requesting of yourself. But, sometimes it's the opening. The opening of the expanse of stuff. If we viewed everything like I'm always talking about God, that God is and moves through all things. And if we looked at it like that, we wouldn't make it seem as though it only shows up in certain areas. If you could think about your body as this amazing communication device that is continuously speaking to you, and not only speaking to you to communicate with other people, but to communicate with you. It communicates with you too. I was looking at there's a guy that I follow, Bradley Nelson. He's a chiropractor, I do believe, by profession. And he wrote this book called The Body Code. I love books. And y'all would think, because I got all these books, y'all would think just whatever. His haven't bought his book yet. It's $30. Whatever. But it's called The Body Code. And one of the things that he was talking about was he was saying that a lot of times we don't hear our bodies talking to us because we are just one singular body and we don't we don't have the depth and breadth of experience like a doctor might, right? And this is I'm just kind of putting this out here because I know a lot of people are whatever about that, right? So he says is that when I see people, he says what I'm doing is he's like I'm always charting what I see. And he said that if there is a hormonal imbalance, he starts to talk about the ways those imbalances will show up. And then he says, but, say for instance, if it's this knee that's hurting, that might say that you've got an imbalance in your, I'm just throwing something out there. You're having an imbalance in just in your walking, right? Just, one leg shorter than the other or something. It's a physical challenge. He says, but if it's in a different knee, he says, then that might be your kidneys, right? And so he was just talking about how we can, based on this amalgamation, this collection of information, there is a tendency to be able to make certain correlations with what we feel in our bodies. Just like when Louise Hayes in her book, she says this idea when you have lower back issues is, as Dr. Brown would say, part of your security system. And it is your support system. So sometimes if you don't feel supported or if you don't have the financial piece together, it'll show up as lower back pain. And so when you start looking at it, there's a lot of times the physical stuff that your body is saying has to do with, just as much to do with the mental condition that you are vexed with. So just to kind of look at everything in life being able to speak to us and being able to inform us is so beautiful. But when we've got people out here that'll tell you, I tell you, I'd be suspicious about people who try to make you think that there is all of this, how do I want to say it? I think that there's a lot of people who try to scare you into smallness rather than to encourage you into bigness. And so when you've got people who are trying to just make you afraid, I'd be very suspicious of what's behind that. And I constantly say to people that, Jesus was surrounded by people who were unsavory, who were sick, or who were, tax collectors or prostitutes or whatever. And you might say, well, is that's keeping company with people who, whatever. But his light was what attracted people. When you have light, people draw closer to you. It's not to try to stay away from me. He says, resist not evil. And so when you stand in the fullness of who and what you are, you I don't know that fear is your first response. I'm just saying. I don't know that, I'm so suspicious or blah, blah, blah of that. Y'all, what I know is that, I walk in the light. I walk in the light. And even when people mean stuff for my harm, it turns out for my good, because that's the way my life goes. And I know that it's the way yours go. But if you're looking for darkness, you're going to find it. Because that's just, you seek and you shall find. If you looking for it, you're going to find it. But what I know is that the truth is saying yes to me. It's saying yes to you. Let me read this. And then, I'm all over the place today, aren't I? I'm all over the place today. Yesterday, the Lent began yesterday. Let's eliminate negative thinking. Let's eliminate negative thinking. Let's eliminate negative thinking. So Lent started yesterday, and what I know is that this is a season for me of introspection, and it's good, and it's going to be good. I'm claiming it is good, and I hope that that you're doing something amazing and special for yourself during Lent. Maybe it's for the Lent season. You'll watch me every day. I don't know. Maybe it will be that I don't know, that you practice forgiveness every day. That every night before you go to bed, you'll take an inventory of your day and see the places that you could have made different choices, or you'll find a list of people that you can bless, whatever that means, if even if it means just praying for them. Maybe you can make a decision that you'll meditate for a period of time during Lent on a daily basis. Maybe you'll go see a doctor, or really address the things that have been pressing you. But make this, whatever it is, just figure out something that you can do, even if it's for a short period of time. Last year, there were people who made a commitment to like drink more water during a certain week, or cut out certain things out of their diet, or whatever it is. But be mindful. Be mindful. Be mindful. Be mindful. All right. So for today, Thursday, this one is entitled Understanding Us. These were this month prepared by Reverend Raymond Anderson. And his first quote here is taken from Coretta Scott King. And it says, greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. It's interesting. It's good, but it's also interesting. It's so interesting because there's so much I could say about that. Let me keep going. And from Ernest Holmes' Ideas of Power, it says, love is the only final security in the universe. Love is the greatest healing power in the universe, and the only thing that binds people together in a community of spirit. Here we go. Let me read it. Understanding Us. What is the beloved community? Reverend Raymond asked. What does it look like? Why is it important to not only aspire to, but to intentionally manifest? Well, the term was created by philosopher, theologian Josiah Royce. Most of us know of it because of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, the end is reconciliation. The end is redemption. The end is the creation of the beloved community. It is this type of spirit and this type of love that can transform opponents into friends. It is this type of understanding goodwill that will transform the deep gloom of old age into exuberant gladness, to the exuberant gladness of new age. It is this love which will bring about miracles in the hearts of people. We would all do well. That was end of quote. He said, he goes on to say, we would all do well to read a bit more about the concept of the beloved community. It is in the upper areas of spiral dynamics model and lived in the principle of Ubuntu, a Nungan Bantu term meaning humanity. The term often is translated as I am because we are, or our humanity towards one another. It actually is the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living. To live this, we must be moved to an understanding that calls for us to invest in one another, to nurture, support, hold accountable, advocate for, and rise in solidarity with one another. I am not my brother's keeper, nor my sister's keeper, nor my gender non-conforming, gender fluid siblings' keeper. I am them, and they are me. This is the era of we. Good morning, Michael. The affirmation that goes with this is, today I listen with the intention to understand. I listen to everyone, especially those I disagree with. I listen from love. Yeah, it is interesting because that was, I think, where I was at the beginning of me starting to talk. This idea about how people feel this need of stating the obvious of I'm this or I'm that. No, do we, is that what we need to do, is tell people who we are rather than show up as who we are? The moment somebody says, and I don't know how others receive this, but the moment somebody says I'm blessed, that implies this, you're different from everybody else, as if we aren't all blessed. And we are, this, sometimes we get caught up in thinking according to appearance about what somebody else has or what somebody else is doing or all of this other stuff. It's the appearances that people get caught on. But the truth of the matter is that we're all blessed. We are all blessed. And the beautiful thing about it is that when we know this and speak to it, bear witness to it, when we talk about it, what we get to see is that a lot of times what we're thinking about and what we're judging is not even the tip of the iceberg on this experience. That it's not even the tip. So let me see how do I and I don't know, maybe that is clear enough, but when you think about it from a standpoint, one of the things I think that is important for us to understand is that all of us, we want to make it seem like our stuff is different, but all of us are going through the same kind of awareness, the same kind of thing. So when I talk about what's my end goal, if I'm saying to you, my end goal is that when I graduate this thing, when I'm matriculating through this life thing, it's not about how much stuff I got, but rather I'm doing my soul work. I'm doing my soul work so that that what happens after this is not me trying to get another assignment, but rather, let me take up a different position. So, and all of us, we are matriculating through this. When he calls it a spiral of unfolding, all of us are doing that. And so what's the intention though? Is the intention for me, myself, and or me, myself, and my family? Or is it that all of humanity needs to see how wonderful, beautiful, and blessed that they are? Not sitting up talking about it like, oh, the saints versus the sinners, or the people who are who know versus those who don't, or black versus white, or any of the verses kind of thing. Not, no. All of us, all of us have to come to an understanding and an awareness that God moves through, in and through everybody. The Donald Trumps of the world, as well as, the Barack Obamas. God is moving through each and every one of them. And that each one of them brings up a different sensation for us doesn't make them our enemy, but rather should make them our teacher. What is it that I need to learn here? What is it that I need to do here? How is it that I can take what I see and see that this has been given and blessed to me, given to me, gifted to me by one who loves me absolutely. And so it's like he said, resist not evil. It's not to reject them, but rather to take this in and see how looking at this helps me better understand whatever it is that the message is for me. So if I'm looking at how fear constricts, I can look at that, the Florida governor, and look at the resistance that he's holding, and see fear all in that. Right? And then who do I choose to be? How do I choose to express? Am I doing this in certain places in my life? Am I standing in resistance in certain avenues and in different places in my life? What's here for me to learn? Let me not just get caught up on the surface stuff or on the talking points that I hear other people making, but let me rather take this into my being, into my soul, and see what I need to see. How do I release judgment? How do I get to the love? How do I not get caught up in all of the, the stuff that I'm hearing other people do? That's the real question, right? That's the real work that we're doing. To really look beyond the appearances to the truth. That God is in and through every one of us. Not just those that go to your church, not just those that believe as you do, not just those who believe at all, but through everything God is. And so if there is anything you are standing in resistance to, asking it, oh, what do you have for me? What do you have for me? What's the lesson here? And when we figure out how to get the lesson, that's the blessing. Oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. All right, y'all. So, I'm feeling complete. Yeah, I'm feeling complete. Thank you, Michael. Amen, and blessings on you. Yes, that's what I have for you today. And so instead of, I'm going to let it go at that. It's Thursday, y'all, and I will be back here. I got another coming up at 10 o'clock, and then at 11 o'clock. I will be on live at 11 o'clock with Dr. Brown right here. Great message this morning. I have a in-house interview this morning. And that will have me prepared. Thank you. It's really it's really always very interesting to me. Um, these types of things. Sometimes we get so tight trying to be, what we think somebody else wants rather than being perfectly who we are. And I just think that when we show up in our truth, um, that comes through. That beauty, that love, that comes through. So, blessings on your interview today. I know that it will go amazing. And just loving on ourselves. All right, y'all. So with that, I'm just going to go. I know all is well. I know how extremely blessed you are. And like I said, I'll be back on here at 11 o'clock if you are interested at all in hearing Dr. Brown and because I'm interested in hearing Dr. Brown and me talk about this thing and this whole thing around this hormone reset. I know that that's not what I told him that I'm going to talk about, but it's when I thought about it and I came in here, uh, yeah, yeah. So Michael, the highest and best for you. I'm trusting for the highest and best for you, whatever that may mean. All right, y'all. I'm gone. Yes, thank you. Yes, Sarika. I'm so glad that you come in at 11 because that is. I'm telling you. I don't know. I talk all the time, but when I get to talk to Dr. Brown, that's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And I just got to work on expanding that audience. I need to work on my stuff, period. I need, I need, look. Yes, I got to work on my stuff, period. All right. Blessings to you. All right. I'll see